Picture this. It's 10:47 p.m. You're lying in bed, scrolling through your phone. You open an app just to check something. 5 minutes later, you see it. A pair of sneakers or a gadget or a random thing you didn't even know existed 30 seconds ago. And suddenly, your brain goes, wait, this is actually a really good deal. There's a little timer counting down, only 2 hours left, limited stock. Your heart rate goes up slightly. You tap add to cart, and right before you fall asleep, you hit buy now. Then 2 days later, the package arrives and you think, why did I buy this? And here's the crazy part. You do this again and again and again until one day you open your banking app and realize you've spent $300, $500, sometimes even $1,000 on things you barely remember buying. Look, if that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Because impulse buying is one of the most common financial problems people face today. And the scary part, most people think they simply have bad self-control. But here's the thing. That's not actually the real problem. The real problem is that the entire modern shopping system is engineered to make you impulse buy. But the good news, you can break that system. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to dramatically reduce impulse buying in the next 24 hours. My name is Jack. If you're someone who struggles with impulse buying, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Alright, let's start with a simple question. How big of a problem is impulse buying really? Well, according to a study by the National Retail Federation, the average consumer makes 3 impulse purchases per week, and the average impulse purchase around $30 to $60. Now, that might not sound like much, but let's do some quick math. Let's say you impulse spend $40 3 times a week. That's $120 per week. Multiply that by 52 weeks, and suddenly you're looking at about $6,240 per year. $6,000 on things you didn't even plan to buy. Now here's what most people don't realize. If that same $6,240 were invested each year into a basic index fund earning around 8% annually, after 20 years, it would grow to roughly $285,000 just from eliminating random purchases. That's not a budgeting trick. That's literally the difference between being broke and being financially comfortable later in life. But here's where it gets really interesting. Impulse buying isn't actually about money. It's about psychology. Your brain is running a very old piece of software. Thousands of years ago, when humans saw something valuable, food, tools, shelter, the correct decision was to grab it immediately. Waiting could mean losing it forever. Your brain still thinks like that. Except today, the valuable thing is a $49 pair of wireless earbuds. And companies know this. In fact, modern shopping apps are built around 3 psychological triggers: scarcity, convenience, and dopamine. Let's start with scarcity. You've seen it everywhere. Only 3 left in stock. Flash sale ends in 20 minutes. 12 people are viewing this item. This activates something psychologists call loss aversion. Your brain hates losing something more than it enjoys gaining something. So instead of thinking, do I actually need this? Your brain asks, what if I miss this opportunity? And boom, you buy it. Then there's convenience. 20 years ago, buying something required effort. You had to drive somewhere, walk through a store, wait in line. That friction gave your brain time to think. Today, buying something takes 4 seconds. Tap, tap, face, ID, done. No thinking required. And finally, dopamine. This is where the real trap happens. Research from Stanford behavioral scientists shows that the anticipation of a purchase releases dopamine in the brain, not the purchase itself. The anticipation. That means the moment you add something to your cart, your brain gets a little chemical reward, and the checkout process feels like completing a mini-aim, which is why impulse buying often happens when you're bored, stressed, or procrastinating. Your brain isn't trying to buy a product, it's trying to buy a feeling. So, the real question becomes, how do you interrupt that cycle? And this is where the 24-hour rule comes in. The rule is extremely simple. If you want to buy something that you didn't plan to buy, you wait 24 hours. That's it. No complicated budgeting system, no guilt, just wait. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but if I really want it, I'll just buy it tomorrow. Exactly. And that's the point, because impulse buying depends on urgency. Remove urgency, and the desire collapses. In fact, studies from consumer psychology researchers show that over 70% of impulse purchases disappear after a 24-hour delay. People simply lose interest. Think about it like this. Impulse buying is like hunger when you walk past a bakery. The smell is incredible. You suddenly feel like you need a croissant. But if you wait 30 minutes, that feeling fades. Your brain moves on. Shopping works the same way. But here's what most people don't realize. The 24-hour rule works even better when you combine it with one small system. Create a want list. Anytime you feel the urge to buy something, write it down. That's it. Put it in your notes app. Things I want. Then wait 24 hours. When you come back the next day, one of 3 things will happen. First possibility, you look at the item and think, why did I even want this? Delete it. Second possibility, you still want it, but you realize it's not urgent. So, you wait another week. Third possibility, you still want it. It still makes sense financially, and you've thought about it. Now it's a deliberate purchase, not an impulse. And this tiny system does something powerful. It forces your brain to switch from emotional thinking to logical thinking. Let me give you a quick example. Imagine you see a $180 pair of headphones. Impulse brain says, "These look amazing, buy them now." But your wantless brain says, "Okay, write it down." The next day you check, and suddenly you remember you already own headphones. They work perfectly fine, and that $180 stays in your bank account. Do that just twice per month, and you've saved $4,320 over 10 years from just 2 avoided purchases. Now here's the objection I hear all the time. "Jack, life is short. Why not enjoy money?" And look, this is a fair point. The goal isn't to stop buying things. The goal is to stop buying things you don't actually value. There's a huge difference. Because when people eliminate impulse spending, something interesting happens. They start spending more intentionally instead of random $30 purchases. They save up for things that actually improve their life. Travel, experiences, investments, freedom. And this leads to the final insight that most people miss. Impulse buying isn't just a spending problem, it's an attention problem. Companies spend billions of dollars trying to capture your attention long enough for you to make a bad financial decision. Notifications, flash sales, limited offers, algorithmic ads. Your job isn't to out-discipline all of that. Your job is to create friction. Turn off shopping notifications, remove saved credit cards, unfollow stores that constantly promote sales. Make buying something slightly inconvenient again, because when you add friction, your brain finally has time to ask the question that actually matters. Do I really want this? So, if you want to stop impulse buying starting today, here's the simple plan. First, use the 24-hour rule. Never buy something immediately. Second, create a want list and write purchases down instead of buying them. Third, add friction by removing one-click purchases and shopping notifications. And if you follow these 3 steps, something pretty amazing happens. Impulse spending doesn't disappear overnight, but it collapses surprisingly fast. Because once you break the urgency loop, most purchases simply stop feeling important. And suddenly, you realize something. You didn't actually want half the things you were buying. You just wanted the momentary feeling of buying them. And look, mastering money isn't about extreme discipline. It's about designing systems that make the right decision easier than the wrong one. And sometimes the difference between staying broke and building real wealth is as simple as waiting 24 hours. If you found this helpful, hit the subscribe button. And before you leave, I want to know one thing. What's the most random impulse purchase you've ever made? Let me know in the comments because trust me, we've all been there.